Okay. Our theme of the week is maintenance required. So it's all about, what do we need to do to kind of, keep ourselves humming along. And so in the regular yoga classes, we're talking about, certain things that we want to include in a sort of a daily yoga practice or a regular yoga practice that we want to make sure we accomplish things like moving the spine in all directions, right? That's a maintenance thing that we talk about in yoga. Moving through our ranges of motion in our joints, that again is a maintenance thing. So in a more traditional yoga class, we would have certain components, but since we're in somatics, it's going to be a little bit different today. But there are certain things that we want to, go through. And in addition, we want to make sure we're doing a formal breath practice. And in yoga and Ayurveda, that's something that's recommended to do as what's called dinacharya. So dinacharya, I don't know why I'm using quotes, it's a phrase that basically means your daily routine. And there are certain things in Ayurveda that's recommended you do in your daily routine. And this starts to create sort of a rhythm to life in such that you're following certain circadian rhythms and getting your body in a routine and a rhythm that helps things like your digestion, your sleep, your stress cycles. So when we have sort of a regular routine, the body finds comfort in that, right? So when we're out of routine, nothing's regular, then we're not going to be regular. And we're just, things will be kind of a little more erratic. We won't sleep well. We won't digest well. So for example, in the dinacharya, yoga in Ayurveda would recommend we wake up and we scrape our tongues. So this is one of the things that they do regularly in Ayurveda, because they say overnight we accumulate sort of this toxic residue on the tongue. So we're supposed to scrape our tongues before we eat anything or drink anything to get that residue off the tongue. And then drinking warm water with like some lemon or sea salt is recommended to kind of jumpstart your digestion and not put anything cold in the stomach first thing. So we want to put warm things in because our stomach is a warm environment. If we put icy cold things on it, it sort of dampens that digestive fire and then we're off to a bad start. So these are some of the kinds of things that are recommended. Get up and then get moving after that. Do a meditation and a breath practice. So these are like all daily routine, daily maintenance kind of things. So in our practice, we'll try to kind of hit all of our major joints. We'll work with our spine. We'll work with some breath and meditation at the end of our practice today. All right, so go ahead, come on down on your back and get started. So it'll be sort of a well-rounded practice today. Like no specific body part focus. So begin however you like, starting with diaphragmatic breath. So breath that we're going to breathe into the belly, into the rib cage. And start to slow down and smooth out the breath. And stay with that. I'll share just a little bit more about this concept of the dinacharya, like the daily routines. So it's also things like getting up and going to sleep at the same time every day, right? So I know that can be hard, especially, if you want to take a day, sleep in, things like that, but that'll tend to throw your sleep cycle off. So Ayurveda recommends being very consistent and regular about that. Or eating at the same times of the day. So the body kind of knows what to expect. It's like, okay, now it's my breakfast. And then recommending eating your bigger meal earlier in the day versus late at night, because that's going to interfere with sleep. And we don't want to be digesting food when we're sleeping. So these are some other little daily maintenance things that yoga talks about. So when you're ready, almost like we're going to take a big yawn, we're going to take the arms and reach them overhead. Come into a full body stretch. Reach through your arms, reach through your legs. And then relax, let your arms, legs be heavy. We're gonna do that about 5 rounds. Inhale, reach through your arms, reach through your legs, expand, maybe firm up your leg muscles, and then soften, relax, let it go. 3 more just like this. Good always to create space and length in the body, especially in our spine. Make sure you have a complete release. So follow that breath all the way out. 1 more round. And then relax in the same position, arms and legs extended. Hold for a breath. All right, now we're going to do one side at a time. And if you're new to this practice, this is called up slip, down slip. So we're going to reach through the right arm and the right leg. Like you're taking that full body stretch. Maybe your head goes to the left a little bit. Reach, reach, reach. And then exhale, let it go, let it go. All the effort comes to a pause. And then do your other side. Inhale, left side, left arm, left leg, reach, reach, reach. And then let it go. Soften, release all the effort. And now just side to side like that, do a few more rounds. So we're gonna reach on the inhale and we're gonna let it go on the exhale. Let's do 1 more round on each side. Be noticing where you feel tightness or restriction in the body. A lot of times it's around the front of the hip and the hip flexor area, especially what we worked on last week. And let's let the arms come down and take a little pause. So somatic yoga originates from a man named Thomas Hanna, who wrote a very pivotal book called Somatics. And this was written a few decades ago, quite a few decades ago. It wasn't yoga per se, but it was his method of working with clients and helping people with the general aches and pains of aging and breakdown of the body, helping people with injury and traumas, and eventually kind of segued into the yoga world, but only I would say in like the last 10 years. But Thomas Hanna came up with what he called the daily cat stretch. Calls it a cat stretch. It's like when your cat gets up and or your dog and just does all these little stretches. So anyway, this is his daily maintenance routine that we're going to work on today as well. So we're going to go ahead and bend the knees, feet flat. And we're going to go through our arch and curl movement. So first of all, we're not going to do upper body, just lower body. Tip your tailbone forward and let your lower back arch away from the floor. And then flatten the lower back, curl the tailbone up. So it's just a basic pelvic tilt. And then I want you to just keep that going, a gentle rocking on the lower back. Now, there's a lot of benefits to this, especially in relationship to our daily maintenance. We're starting to mobilize our lower spine, which for many of us, it could be a tight, sort of compressed area. And as we mobilize the lower spine, there's movement all the way up through our spine. So it's lubricating and hydrating the spinal column. It also encourages the movement of our cerebral spinal fluid. And that's a fluid that kind of bathes our brain and goes all the way down through our spine, up and down every time we breathe. But as we move here, we're encouraging that flow. Now go ahead and pause. We'll add the upper body component. Interlace your hands behind the back of your head. And then we'll inhale, arch your back just like we did. And now exhale, curl up like a sit-up. Inhale, come down, open the elbows, arch. Exhale, curl up, press your lower back into the floor, and keep going. So now we're adding a more pronounced movement through the spine, going through flexion and extension of our spine. Flexion is when we round up. Extension is when we back bend or arch the back. Again, hydrating the spine, encouraging that fluid flow. But now a little bit more engagement of our lower abdominals. And that's also important for our daily maintenance because when lower abdominals are weak, that can contribute to poor posture, low back pain. Other things too are affected by lower belly weakness. The connection to the pelvic floor as well. Now, I'm going to continue a few more rounds. I want you to really take a long exhale as you come up. Like you want to get all the breath out. And as you take longer exhales, you might find that you have a deeper inhale automatically. Because we sort of create a little vacuum there. Let's do one more like this. Long exhale. And then come down and pause. Take a couple breaths into the belly. And part of the important part of somatic work is noticing the effect of everything we do. It's a practice of really bringing our attention back to the body, back to more the internal workings of the body, because the world has this way of pulling our attention in 1,000 directions, creating, mental instability, fear, anxiety. So we bring our attention back inward. It's said to be, very calming and healing. And that's part of our daily maintenance, is getting our mind to be a little more calm. So now we're going to go with that same exercise, but we cross the midline. We're going to go elbow to knee. So we're going to go across the center. So hands behind the back of the head if they're not there. As you inhale and arch, turn your head, look at your right elbow. And then you're going to bring your right elbow and your left knee together, lifting the foot, cross the midline. And then come down, inhale, arch, look over to your left elbow, and then left elbow to right knee. Okay, so keep going, and I'd like you to stick with those long exhales. Like you want to squeeze out all of that breath. Now we strengthen kind of more the crossbody, abdominals. So some oblique muscles, maybe some intercostals here. We're also strengthening those lower abdominals and the hip flexors. Go ahead and finish out one more round. And then take a little pause, a little break after that next round. So Thomas Hanna, who started the somatic movement, also talked about specific body types and how we can get stuck in patterns in our body. One of them is the green light reflex, and that's when we're really tight in our back, our hamstrings. Our body is always in a forward propelling motion. We're always go, 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 tending toward anxiety, can't sit still. And then there's the red light reflex when we're the opposite. We're sort of caved in, rounded over, depression, heaviness, fatigue. And then there's a mix of those called the trauma reflex, where we're lopsided. One side of the body is higher or tighter than the other. And that's often due to, asymmetrical patterns, like say we golf, or we hold our bags on one shoulder, or we hold a child on one hip. That'll create imbalances, or if we're in a car accident that jars our body into misalignments. And so all of this daily cat stretch that we're learning today is set to help address all of these patterns and bring us into a more symmetrical balance. And it not only helps us physically with things like pain and posture, but also helps us with our mental emotional states. If we're green light, we're going to be more anxious. For red light, maybe we're more depressed. All right, let's take the feet wide and just do a little windshield wiper. So we're basically hitting various sides of our core in this daily cat stretch. So we did a lot of working on the front of the body, like the abdomen with all of those little like pelvic tilts and things. Next, we're going to move into some side body work. So I'm going to have you roll onto your right side. And you're going to stack up your knees and rest your head on your bottom arm. Your knees are in line with your hips, and we create that 90-degree angle. And I'm going to break this down into pieces until we all kind of get this figured out, and then we'll make it one smooth movement. So first, I want you to take your top foot and shin and lift the top foot and shin. Now we're going to keep the knees together, so don't separate the knees, and that works on the outer hip here and some internal rotation of your leg. Just do a few of those, lower and lift that top foot. Because a lot of people do this wrong and they lift the top knee, and I want you to keep those knees glued together. Okay, one more like this, and we're going to add the upper body. Okay, let that top leg rest. Take your top arm to the ceiling, reach it over your head, and then lift your head and hold the temple of the bottom side of your head. So your hand kind of cradles your head, okay? Now let's just do the upper body, then we'll put it together with the lower body. You're going to use your hand to help you lift your head, and you're making a side crunch. And I want you to don't worry about the foot yet. Just try to bring your elbow and your hip towards each other, and you contract your side waist. And then come down. We're going to inhale as we come down, and exhale, lift into that side crunch. Okay, let's do that 2 more. Inhale, come down. Exhale, elbow and hip draw towards each other. Create a side bend. So that's also a movement of the spine that we want to include in our daily maintenance, a side bend. Last one. Okay, relax your head for a moment. If that bottom arm feels like it's not enough, you could also put a blanket there. Now let's put it together. Lift your top foot and shin, knees stay together, and then crunch. Draw your elbow towards your hip, hip towards your elbow, and now come down. And as you come down, push down through your hip and your shoulder and lift your bottom ribs up off the floor. So it's like the opposite side bend. And then lift up, lift your shin, curl up into that side bend, and then come down, lift the bottom ribs, and continue. A lot of us get tightness, shortening here on the side body. So this is helping to address that. If you want to go further, take your top arm and reach it towards your foot. And then take that top arm over your ear as you lift the bottom ribs. So you might continue to support your head if you feel like you need the neck support, or you can start reaching with your arm. And you can always take a peek if you're not sure what I'm talking about till you get the hang of it. Remember to lift those bottom ribs as you come down. Couple more rounds, and we want to do each of these movements for a minute or two. Okay, let's finish out that last one there. Pause on your side, take a breath. And then we're gonna roll back onto your back and just relax for a moment. Take a breath or two. Notice any sensations in your body. All right, so we're gonna go over to the other side. Stack up the knees. So we don't need to break it down this time. We know what we're doing. So you can take that top arm up and hold the bottom side of your head. Knees stacked. And then we'll start to curl up and lift that top shin and foot, contract. And then as we come down, we're lifting the bottom ribs off the floor. And then continue. If you want to add the arm, feel free to add the arm. Arm reaching toward the foot and then reaching toward the wall behind you as you lift your bottom ribs. Try to get that feeling of the hip and the shoulder drawing towards each other. So we get that contraction on the side waist. And we've got 2 more rounds. Our knees stay glued together. After that next one, this time we're rolling to the belly, and you'll just stack up your palms and rest down on your belly. Just take a few moments again to observe. So we hit front of the core, side of the core. Now we're going to hit the back of the core with this next one. And that's sort of the, components of that daily cat stretch. Then we'll move on to some other things. So this one works on strengthening the back body, some hamstring, glute muscles, upper back muscles, and can help repattern if our back is stuck in, that green light or red light pattern. So we're gonna, again, break it down so that we get all the components, and then we'll put it all together. We're gonna stack the right palm on top of the left palm, and then turn your head to the right so that you're resting your temple on your top hand. And then from here, we're just going to lift the right elbow off the floor. And as you lift your elbow, I want you to think about lifting from your shoulder blade muscle, and then relax the arm. And let's do that 2 more times. Just lift the elbow from the shoulder blade. And so take a pause after that next one. In other words, we don't want to just kind of flop in and out of it and go on autopilot. We want to use some intention, and that muscle behind the shoulder blade will help with that. Now, next phase, the head, hand are going to stay glued together like our knees did in that last pose. And we're going to actually lift the head and hand off the bottom hand. So head stays glued to your hand. Lift the elbow. Now lift your hand, top hand off your bottom hand, and twist to the right, lifting through your elbow. And then release and let your head and hand come back down. All right, repeat. Inhale, lift. Twist a little to your right. You might push through your supporting hand, your left hand. Keep going. Notice sensations here in your lower left back, because we're often going to feel it on that opposite side. Okay, pause. We're going to add the lower body component now. Let's just do the leg and then we'll put it together. Left leg is going to be the lifter. I want you to lengthen that left leg. Like pick it up and reach it away from your body. And then set it back down. Now from that lengthened position, we're going to lift the left leg off the floor. Couple of things, don't turn the leg, keep the kneecap facing the floor, and then relax the leg back down. Lengthen the leg, lift the leg, try not to turn it, and then relax the leg. You want to feel like you're using your glute and your hamstring muscle to lift the leg. Those are often, weak, sleepy muscles that we've talked about in the past couple weeks because we sit on them, right? So we want to engage that glute and hamstring muscle, and that can be supportive of our lower back. Now pause, we're going to put that together with the upper body component. So now we're going to lift the arm, head, hand, and the leg at the same time. We're lengthening the leg as we lift it. We're twisting through the torso, and then exhale to release all effort. Inhale, lift up, contract. Exhale, release. All right, keep that going now on this side. Or, one side and the other. So it's a kind of a cross body exercise. We have a lot of connective tissue that crosses from like right shoulder to left hip and left hip to right glute. So that gives the body support and stability. Try not to be, let's say, kind of jerky with this movement. See if you could smooth it out. You want to move very fluidly, almost like you're an underwater plant. And don't struggle or force anything. Just do the best you can. And if you need breaks, take breaks. If you need to just do the upper body or the lower body at any time, feel free. Now we're going to add one more piece on. If you want to add a little more strength for your hamstring and glute, we're going to bend the left knee as we lift the leg. And then you'll lift again from your thigh, your glute, your hamstring. So it's like a little hamstring curl. And then as you come down, let the leg slowly lengthen, straighten, and release. It's also important to have that full release in between repetitions, because we're trying to give the brain the contrast between the work, the engagement, the contraction, and then the letting go, the releasing. Let's do 2 more on this side. Try to smooth out that movement. And then you'll pause after that second one and bring your head back to neutral. Part of somatic work is helping the body to work sort of synergistically and more coordinated and more graceful. Because as we age and our bodies, starts to develop these different limitations and tensions and stagnant areas of the body, we don't move as easily and we don't move with as much grace. So this all helps the body coordinate and work better, and hopefully we'll have less pain because we have less of these tension and stagnant areas in the body. Okay, let's go ahead, switch over to your other side. You're going to need to put your left palm on top and then turn your head, resting your temple on the top hand. And you're using your opposite arm and opposite leg. So if you want to break it down again a few times, feel free. Go right into that full movement. Try to keep the legs straight. And try to, first couple rounds, let's keep that leg straight without the bend. Try not to rotate the leg. Try to lift from your glute and your hamstring. Lift on your inhale, release on a full exhale. Keep your head and your hand glued together. That's it. When you're ready, start to add that bent knee. Just go to the bend. Don't forget. All right, couple more rounds now with the bent knee if you like it. If anything's not feeling right in your body, don't have to do all the things. Sometimes we can just work upper body or lower body. Sometimes we skip that bent knee. Last 2 rounds. And then release, pause, take a few breaths. All right, so we might want to turn around to face forward since everyone's facing the back of the room. That way you can kind of see anything we're going to do next. We're going to do a couple more things here on the belly. So come back down and we're going to prop up on the forearms and then hold opposite elbows. And this is the somatic version of Cobra. And when we're talking about daily maintenance, we want to include some back bending work because a lot of us are often hunched forward, rounded in our spines. So really good to go in the opposite direction. So first, elbows line up under shoulders, and we're going to press through the arms, lift the chest. Now already you might be feeling some back bend here. If you're okay, we're going to tuck the toes under and then lift the knees off the floor so the legs are active. And then with your arms, you're going to pull your arms toward your abdomen, and from deep in your low abdomen, pull forward. And then we're going to take a little sway, look over one shoulder, and then look over the other shoulder. As I look over my right shoulder, elbows pull slightly left. And as I look over left shoulder, elbows pull slightly right. And we're going to go side to side. And this one really works also on our psoas hip flexor area. Last round here. And then release, come all the way down. Give your hips a little wiggle. And also windshield wiper your shins. All right, come back up into that cobra, holding opposite elbows. This time, if it's okay for you, the feet are coming off the ground. We're lifting the shins. Press in your arms, lift your chest. Pull arms toward the belly, belly toward the arms, and then find your sway again. Pulling elbows slightly in the opposite direction. And I don't know about you guys, but after we did all that hip flexor work last week, this is feeling pretty good for me. I feel like we really worked this front of the hip area last week, especially if you came to some of those more active classes. All right, let's come back and let it go. Come down and release. Maybe those hip rocks or windshield wipers. Part-time. Okay. So we're going to do one more variation here, and this time it's going to be a side bend. So we're going to scoot a little to the left edge of your mat and bring your right knee out to the side. So the right knee is at a 90-degree angle. And then we're taking the upper body, walking it halfway over, holding onto the elbows. So we're in a side bend. So the left side of the body is in a side bend. The right side body is more in a crunch. Next thing, take your left toes, tuck them under, and lift the left kneecap off the floor. Okay. Now we're going to pull the elbows a little to the left and turn your gaze to look at your right knee. Contract the right side of your waist a bit, and then soften back toward the left any amount, and repeat. So we're opening up left side of the waist, the lower back, the spine, and strengthening over on that right side. So you're still breathing. You might inhale as you go into that contraction and exhale to release. One more on this side. Good, and then Back to neutral, slide the leg back, even out any releases you might need. Okay, and then we'll do the other side. So scoot yourself over to the right side of your mat. Bring your left knee up about 90 degrees. Walk your upper body over any amount, holding on to the elbows. Prop up like you're almost in a sphinx. Right toes tuck under and the kneecap lifts off the floor. Pull the elbows to the right as you look to your left knee. And then back toward the right slightly, moving in and out of that side bend. You might close your eyes and really focus in on what you're feeling here. What's it feel like in the left outer hip, lower back? What's it feel like on the right side? And was it very different from your last side when we had the right knee to the side? Two more. After this next one, go ahead and release back to neutral. Windshield wipers. This feels good. And then we're going to press up to tabletop when you're ready. And then in tabletop, just do a few circles of your hips, getting into the hip joints. And then reverse that circle. We'll land in a child's pose when you're ready. Stretch out your back after the back bending work. Okay, from here, we're coming up into a seated position. We're going to sit on the folded blanket. And you can make that as high as you want. We'll take the legs out in front of us. Oh, you know what? Actually, before we do this, let's do the twist because I want to do the forward fold last. Okay. So we're going to do the somatic twist next. We're actually going to cross the legs if you're comfortable doing so. If you can't, you can sit any other way you like. So we're trying to get all these different movements of the spine in. We just did a bunch of back bends. We did the side bend, the side cobra. So now we're going to take the spine in a rotational to a twist, and then we'll do a forward fold. So arms are going to reach up. Take a twist to your right and bring your opposite hand to your knee. Excuse me. We're going to start with pelvic tilt. So inhale, arch your low back, tip your tailbone forward. Exhale, tuck under, rounding your lower back. Inhale, arch. Exhale, round. Let's do two more like that. Now we're going to add the upper body component next. So next time you arch, tipping your tailbone forward, look at your right shoulder, maybe tip your head back, Contract that right side of your spine. And then as you exhale, tuck under, round your spine, and bring your head towards your right shoulder. Inhale, come back around, arch. Exhale, come around toward your left shoulder. And continue. So you want to make sure you're rocking the pelvis as you're doing this, right? So easy to just do the upper body. So keep that arch and curl action going in the pelvis. And that brings that fluidity all the way up into your spine. And as you're twisting, think about your shoulder blades moving. So as you come around to the left, you're going to let that right shoulder dip forward. And as you twist around to the right, you can bring that right shoulder blade, squeeze it in toward your spine if you want to kind of get a little bit more out of that. You can also just kind of keep it more chill and not do all that extra stuff. Sometimes it's a matter of what does your body need today? Does it need more sensory stimulation, input? Does it need less? Make sure you're breathing. It's an inhale to arch, and an exhale to round. And that feeling of moving like an underwater plant, very fluid, slow. You have all the time in the world. Finish out that next round and then pause in the center for a few breaths. Just feel and sense into your spine. Pathway we just worked on. All right, let's switch the legs to the opposite leg in the front, and then we'll take our twist on the other side. So we'll inhale, reach, exhale, twist. And now that we've got it, we go right into it. So inhale, arch, look over your left shoulder, contract. Exhale, around, tuck under, right shoulder. Keep going. That fluid, graceful pace. Some of the things you might notice with a regular daily maintenance of somatic work is increased energy as we free up these trapped kind of stagnant places in the body. We might feel we have more energy. We might have less perception of pain, decreased perception. May feel calmer. It's a sense of being more balanced in our nervous system. Balanced in the musculoskeletal system, where oftentimes we're very imbalanced. We might have a tight neck on one side, cranky shoulder on the other side. So all this work brings more balance into the body and mind. One more. Come back to center, take a pause, couple of breaths. All right, so now we'll go into that straight leg position. Back to somebody. So legs out straight. The tighter you are through the backs of your legs, you might want to go a little wider. If you're pretty flexible, maybe you want to just keep it at hips distance apart. And then we're all going to bend the knees a little bit away from the floor. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, hands come wherever it's easy. We're not going into a deep forward fold yet. Okay. And we're going to go into some arch and curl movements here. So as you inhale, we're going to arch, press your heels down, contract your back, and then exhale, round, and you may wish to straighten those legs a bit more. You may wish to keep them bent. Inhale, knees lift, arch your back. Exhale, fold. Keep going. We're alternating between activating muscles in our back and then softening those muscles. Activating muscles in the backs of our legs and then softening those muscles. So it's just helping again repattern where our body might be stuck in different dysfunctional patterns. And this one adds the forward bending component to our practice. Two more rounds. Last one. This time, let's hold just a few breaths in the stretch. Slowly start to come up, pause at the top. All right, so we're gonna come onto our backs. You're gonna need those double tennis balls. Let's fold up your blanket into like a little pillow, or if you have a pillow, you can use the pillow. We're gonna have that under the head because we're gonna start working with the balls in our back. So we're gonna place the tennis balls maybe 6 inches from, or maybe more, depending on the length of your torso. We're aiming to have these balls in the middle upper back, okay? And they're gonna go straight across, and then you're gonna come down and try to aim for those balls to be between your shoulder blades somewhere, head on the blanket, and then just pause here and let your body soften over the tennis balls. Take a few breaths. This is an area of the body that's often tight, stagnant, stiff. So good daily maintenance program would probably want to address, the middle part of our spine. So we're going to take our arms straight up toward the ceiling, palms facing in. And we're going to go into the pulley, which is good for also our shoulder joints. So reach your right arm up, lifting your shoulder blade, and then let the right hand come down and reach the left arm up. Try to touch the ceiling, and then alternate side to side. Let's do one more round. And by the way, anything we're doing can be done without the tennis balls. If you're new to this kind of work, It can feel a little intense. It's a deep pressure, myofascial pressure. Go ahead, relax the arms. So feel free, if you need to, you can skip the balls, or you can also put your balls under the blanket and that'll pad it and make it less intense. Now, move your balls a little up. So you slide your body down. Make sure your pillow's still in. Now we have a new spot. And you can just take a breath or two before we add any movement. The balls create a little bit of resistance in your back body. Now we'll take those arms straight up again. This time we're going to do the typewriter movement. You're going to hold opposite elbows with your hands. Keep your elbows over your shoulders. Drop your knees and your head to the right, and your arms are going to go to the left. Gentle pull with your arms, and then go side to side, switching the arms, the head, and the knees. The head and knees are going in one direction, the elbows go in the opposite. And this works on a lot of the joints. So we're working through shoulder joints, elbows, hips, knees, ankles, and a twist. So we're moving the spine. We're moving the neck. Now come back to the center, relax for a moment, and slide your balls a little lower than where they were the first time. So we went higher, now go a little lower, hitting a new spot. Still between the shoulder blade area, but maybe lower shoulder blade area. Take the arm straight up again. Cross the opposite arm on top that you normally do. And you'll be able to tell because the first way feels easy, the opposite way feels awkward. But we have to even out. So now head and knees one direction, elbows go opposite. Like pull gently with your arms, maybe press into the feet if you're looking for a little more depth of sensation. You could make it gentle and make these movements smaller without any of those extra pressing into the floor. This also benefits our breath to break up stagnation in our back. Part of the breathing mechanism of the body is all around the rib cage, including the shoulder blade area. So as we release tension here, you can often find a deeper breath. All right, come back to center. We're going to take those tennis balls away and come flat on your back. Just take a pause. Feel how the back of the shoulder blade area kind of melts into the ground now after all that pressurization. You might notice there's any increased sense of energy flow. Maybe there's tingles or warmth. Another nice, slow, deep breath. And then we're going to bring knees into the chest and rock side to side, releasing the lower back. We are going to take Shavasana a little early so that we can do a seated meditation and breath practice. And in all the classes this week, I'm going to try and do some different breath practices. Let's let's take arms and legs toward the ceiling and go into seaweed. So all the joints are very soft, elbows, wrists, shoulders, knees, ankles, and then you're gonna sway in any way you like. Maybe there's some wrist circling or arm spiraling. Keep the knees bent so that they're not stick straight. Softness in the joints. Sensation of floating in warm water. Slowly float the arms and legs to the floor. Land for a moment. And then we'll simply straighten the legs and come into Shavasana if you are okay to go right into it. If you need, any last minute pose or props, feel free to do so. Otherwise, right into Shavasana. Another daily maintenance in our yoga practice is to rest and relax. Body be heavy, breath soft. So today's reading is another one from Katie Kamara. Self-love is not comfort. It is radical self-confrontation. To build a relationship with yourself is one of the most transformative things you will ever do. It is not found in surface level rituals or curated versions of healing. Comfort has its place, but growth demands something deeper. It asks for truth. This process requires you to examine the stories you have been living inside. The belief that you are too much or not enough. The fear that you will be abandoned. The instinct to protect yourself from love. These patterns are not random. They were formed to keep you safe even when they now limit you. To grow, you must become both the observer and the participant. You must be willing to see how your mind clings to what is familiar, even when something better is in front of you. What we call self-sabotage is often protection that has outlived its purpose. The shift happens when you stop trying to fix yourself and start understanding yourself. You cannot control others, but you can break your own cycles. When you release the need to fight what is, you create space for something new to emerge. You are not broken, you never were. And the work is not to become whole. It is to remember that you already are. And for me, I feel like somatic work, builds this relationship with yourself. All yoga, in fact, but particularly the somatic work, where we're really paying all that close attention to what we're feeling and noticing. I'm going to start to come back now, beginning with some deeper breaths, small movements. Take your time to move when you're ready and eventually come on your side. You can have a pause there. When you do come up very slowly and find a seated position. We're going to sit and do a breath practice and a little meditation for the last few minutes. So feel free if it's challenging to sit up, you can always stick blocks under your knees for a little support or sit up on a pillow. And sit however it's most comfortable for you. And then lengthen up through your center, and if it's comfortable, you might close your eyes. Get that inner focus. So today's breath practice is going to be sort of a little somatically based, where I want you to breathe into certain areas of your body and really just kind of notice that. In the practice, we worked on opening up all the different sides of the body, the side bends, the forward bends, the backward bends, the twists, to open up the rib cage. Not only does this benefit our spine, but it benefits our breathing capacity. So starting with imagining you're, inflating that three-dimensional ball or balloon below your navel. So as you breathe in, just fill up that imaginary sphere. Exhale slowly. And just see if you can feel it both in the front and the back, maybe even feel it vertically, pelvic floor and coming up through the center. So see what you might be able to experience with this, low belly breathing. So opens up space in our lower back. Try not to be forceful with it or aggressive. You want to let it be a gentle filling of this imaginary sphere and a slow, soft exhalation. Finish out that next round and just breathe normally for a moment. The next piece, we're going to try breathing into the quadrants of your rib cage. We'll start with the front, right and left, and then the back, right and left, and then we'll try to breathe into the entire rib cage. Take one more normal breath. Exhale completely. Now breathe into the right front quadrant of your rib cage. Do that maybe 2 or 3 breaths. And if you can't quite get it, just keep your focus there and do the best you can. Okay, when you're ready, switch to the left front. Notice if it's easier on one side versus the other. Eventually switch to the right in the back. It won't be completely isolated in any one area. We can't do that, but we're just trying to focus on that one area. And switching to the left back quadrant. Now try to breathe into all four sides. You might even add on the sphere at the base. Breathing that sphere into the low belly and then into the ribs. Finish out one more round and then return to normal breathing. And then we'll bring palms together in front of the heart space. Take an inhale, exhale, bow inward. Namaste. Thanks, everyone.